In the Pits is partnered with QBR. Are you seeking to heal and recover from the toll that paintball puts on the mind and body? QBR has the solution for you. Head to QBRofficial.com and use code PITS10 for 10% off of your order plus free shipping. QBR, they don't sell broccoli. In the Pits is partnered with Mariachi Águilas de Oro. Based in Austin and servicing the surrounding areas, these golden eagles will bring life to any event you are having, from birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, corporate events, or even a simple performance to enjoy. Guillermo Padilla, one of their trumpet players, is also a member of the Texas paintball scene. Visit them on Facebook and Instagram to check out some of their past performances, or give them a call to book them for your event today. In the Pits is partnered with 71 Designs. Owned and operated by veteran Wade Martin, and partnered with fellow Texas brand Compete. 71 Designs can take your ideas for soft goods, merchandise, and casual wear and make them a reality. Message 71 Designs on Facebook or Instagram to get started today. In the Pits is partnered with Hydra. Designed by players for players, you can outfit yourself in Hydra gear from head to toe. Have confidence that when you make a purchase from Hydra, you are purchasing a well-tested and well-thought-out product, trusted by several top teams, including first-place semi-pro team PaintballFit.com. I personally recommend their Hydra Black knee pads. Purchases over $100 receive free shipping. Head to hydra.fit to browse their selection and discover the Hydra mentality. In the Pits is partnered with XTPL Events. The Extreme Tournament Paintball League is a series put on by the Lukow family of Paintball Fit fame that gives the opportunity for players to learn and grow together as a team. 3-man, Challengers and Champions X-Ball, Draft Mech X-Ball, and even Youth 3v3. There's something for everyone at XTPL. Not to mention prize tosses, raffles, and the infamous paintball munching contest. Events happen throughout the year, and the prizes never disappoint. Sign up for an XTPL event today on PB Leagues. In the Pits is partnered with TexanHemp.com, locally shipped cannabis seeds. In a world where saving time means making money, TexanHemp.com, a local cannabis seed bank owned and operated by local Texas pro player Jared Sherman, is making waves by becoming the go-to source for all cannabis genetics in Texas. Carrying a large assortment of cannabis cultivars, including Texas-approved varieties for use in the Texas Hemp Program, high THCA seeds for novelty use, as well as premium genetics bred for solventless extraction, TexanHemp.com has the ability to satisfy even the most sophisticated collectors. Head to TexanHemp.com and use code INTHEPITS for 10% off of your orders. In the Pits is partnered with BEM Wraps. Behind every mask is a unique and creative player. Tap into it when you order your next custom headpiece. Their Build-A-Band lets you communicate with them one-on-one to make your order just the way you want, all the way down to the color of the stitch. Check out their Instagram at BEMWraps for drops and build videos of them working on orders. They offer very competitive pricing, so reach out today to get started on your own one-of-a-kind headpiece. In the Pits is partnered with Compete. Compete is a Texas-based brand by Jell Stewart of professional team AC Diesel that provides custom jerseys, pants, headbands, straps, tech shirts, and any other soft goods to help individuals and teams compete at the highest level. Support Texas Paintball and message Compete on Facebook or Instagram and mention In the Pits Podcast for 10% off your entire order. In the Pits is partnered with the San Antonio 3v3 Paintball Series. The series provides local players with an affordable, fun opportunity to experience the excitement of tournament paintball. Visit SAT3PB.com for details on upcoming events. In the Pits is partnered with Get Dat Shot. Get Dat Shot is now scheduling photo and reels coverage for teams competing in the upcoming NXL Windy City Major. Head to GetDat_shot on Instagram to check out his previous work or to shoot him a message to secure your media coverage today. In the Pits is partnered with Paintball Kumite. Paintball Kumite is a program designed by Colt Roberts of professional team San Antonio X Factor to take paintball players of all ages, experience levels, and skill groups and mold them into champions. The program breaks the game down into small, easy-to-learn sessions designed to help you master the fundamentals so that you can elevate your game. Newcomers to the program get a free 1-hour introductory class when mentioning In the Pits. To sign up for a class, message at Paintball Kumite on Instagram. I should be able to hear me now. There we go. And welcome everybody to episode 117 of In the Pits Paintball Podcast. This podcast is focused on everything that has to do with the paintball scene here in Texas, from professional players and teams to new divisional programs, local tournament series, field owners, Texas-based brands, even photographers and videographers. Every week we'll have a short and sweet episode with a new topic and new special guest. I'm Christian Dallas Smith. I'm a player for the Texas Titans, and this episode we're going in the pits with Tim Stelzl, pro player for San Antonio X Factor. Tim, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good, man. Excited to jump on here with you and get to talking about some paintball.
Yeah, for sure. I've been looking forward to this one ever since you joined X Factor, came down to the boys in San Antonio. And this last event you had, I would argue, your best event in your career so far. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I would agree, dude. I got a good opportunity to get out there and kind of show what I can do. And, Ryan put a lot of faith in me out there. We were kind of light on bodies, so somebody needed to step up. And I was just fortunate to be the guy that was out on the field and, got to capitalize when I could. Sucked we couldn't seal the deal, but,
Yeah, looking at the bracket, like, you guys by far had the hardest road to the finals. Like, you had to play the Legion, you had to play Aftershock, and then Impact, whereas they had to play, then Damage. And I think Damage had to play like the Bears, and I forget who their semifinal game was. I think Impact. But y'all's road was definitely significantly harder. I think it just happened to go through Aftershock after what they did in prelims. So yeah, let's actually talk a little bit more about this past event. You played just about every point on that Dorito side. Cody got hurt in practice, and then, of course, Billy wasn't there. So how was that experience, like, just being the guy, knowing that there wasn't really anybody else?
Yeah, going into the event, we knew we weren't going to have Billy. So Ryan kind of laid it out to me to expect a little bit more playing time, expect to be on the field, not expect to be in the pits, helping out, filling pods and stuff like that. So I just kind of was mentally preparing myself to be in the mix a little bit more. And I was just excited to have the opportunity to go out there and do my thing. It's been a long road for me in the pro division, so it's nice to finally get a chance to go out there and do my thing. And, luckily it was successful this time. It was a good layout for me. I really enjoyed the layout we played on. And just happy I got the opportunity, happy it went well, and looking forward to World Cup so we can, go seal the deal and show a little bit more of what I can do out there,
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that in situations like that, it almost like takes the pressure off of you because basically whatever happens?
Yeah, I think so. It's like I'm not worried about going out there and getting sat or whatever. If I do something wrong, it's just like, well, I'm the only guy out here, so I have to make it happen. But yeah, I don't know. I try and take as much pressure out of going in and performing as I can. I've been kind of a rookie for a little bit. I've been in and out of the pro division, with injury and stuff like that in the past. So I have a little bit of experience under my belt. I was joking with somebody. I was like, I spent 10 years learning how to play paintball. Now I'm like learning how to win a paintball tournament, right? It's like I figured out how to play. It's like now I just need to figure out how to win, right? So that's kind of where I feel the pressure is, not like just in the average point prelims and stuff like that. It's just stepping up in the clutch and doing what's right, like in the moment, and like just learning how to win these little individual moments, because so much of this like game that we're playing is like just these little fractions of a second or a shot here or some guy looks this way, whatever it may be. So just trying to navigate those kind of situations and stuff like that. And, when we're down, when we're tied, just coming in the clutch and really making a difference on the field.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when it comes to Sunday, like all that matters is going +1 at the end of it.
Yeah, literally.
And a lot of people just don't realize the margin there is like, hey, if I end up +1, we need to break that down, not just like +1 points at the end of the match, but in every like small detail thing that you do, like if you run through and take 2, that's a +1 body situation. Or if you are like, if you find an opportunity to put a guy in and make a bump, then like you're +1 in terms of field positioning, and like just really the small details like that all add up.
Yeah, absolutely, and it really is that simple. And I think paintball is something that gets so overcomplicated in a lot of different ways, and it really comes down to, at least as a one, right? Like in my position, right? It's just like being on the positive end of the trade, like you said, just being +1 all the time. And if you're not +1 in that one point, the next point you go out there, you got to try and get at least +2, right, to even out the score, right? So yeah, I mean, it's just been a grind, and it's been a long road to get to this spot, and I'm just glad I can go out there and rip and do my thing and crush a little bit. So it was fun. Had a ball.
Yeah, I mean, talk about grind. You guys played a lot of points on Sunday, like going, which for me was refreshing to see, because I think X Factor have been playing, like, have been one of the slower teams this season as far as like average point length, and have had one of the lowest like average scores in the league this year. But then you come out on Sunday, you play a 7-3 game against Aftershock, you play a 9-5 absolute ass whooping against Legion. So like just going into the finals, you've already played 24 points in those two matches. So like, how did that feel for you? I know we were talking a little bit before the show started, but like playing all of those points, did you feel tired, or were you on fire? Like, were you just feeling the flow state? What was that like in the moment?
Yeah, I mean, going into this event, we had a long conversation about, kind of where we fell short in other parts of the year. If you look back at a lot of our games, I think, we're losing a lot of these games in 1-point situations, short time situations. So we had a long discussion with the guys on the team and just said, hey, like, we need to shift our mindset to, a more aggressive play style, and not just more aggressive off the break and things like that, but just like, hey, we're going to go out there and we're going to try and play as many points as we can, kind of like how the Russians do, right? Like, they're willing to go bang with you like 10, 12 points in a match, because they just know, like, okay, we lost this one, we're going to go run up 2 more right after. So we kind of just had a little bit of a conversation about having a mental shift, going into the tournament. Like, we want to play more points, we want to be more aggressive, we want to be, less, adverse to risk and stuff like that, being okay with taking a loss in a match and knowing that we're going to be able to come back, because, that's just how our mindset was. And luckily the field layout, played into that, mental shift. So it was fortunate that when the layout dropped, we were, excited to see a field like that. And just, that was our whole mindset from the practice weekend going into the event. But yeah, I mean, we played a lot of points on Sunday, but I know we talked about it before the show even started, but like, there was a moment where TJ and I are on the field, probably like 8 points into that match, against the Russians. And like, I just remember going to him saying, I'm not tired at all. Like, I've never had more energy, because like, we're just smashing back and forth. And honestly, the Russians were doing a lot of the running, and they were really coming into us. And we were kind of just like holding off this onslaught, and fortunately we were winning a lot of those points. A lot of them were going our way. So yeah, that was a great match for us. We felt really fired up, and it was a great way to go, into the finals. And unfortunately, Damage just played a completely opposite play style to what the Russians were doing, and kind of put a wrench in our gears for sure. So
yeah, well, I think that the point that I just completely lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, but watching you guys with that mindset style shift into like, hey, we want to play more points. I know in years past, Ryan Brand has gone on interviews saying like, hey, we have the better roster. So with a larger sample size of points, if you look at the percentages, then we are going to be guaranteed to win more often if we have a higher points played. And this year and I don't know if it's because of adding like Matt Jackson, who like between him, TJ, and Meter have kind of like that AC Dallas background of really playing slow controlled paintball. If that's like what initially led you guys toward the slower style of play, but it's good to see that change for this one.
yeah, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about the culture prior to, when I got on the team. Where that stems from, I couldn't really say, but I just think it's, playing not to lose, right? It's like, you have to be trying to win. Like, to win, you need to take the risk, you need to take the chance, and like, when the door is open, you have to go through it, otherwise it's going to shut, right? It's like, I think that's just the biggest thing, is like, we're playing these 1-point games, and we're trying to win a game on a minute 30-second long point that could go 50-50 either way, and that's determining the fate of our tournament. And it's like, I'd take our odds playing, double the amount of points in a match. And, I think our team, with the players we have right now, more often than not, will come out on the winning side of that. So,
yeah, I agree with that. And I think heading into World Cup, I mean, hopefully Cody is going to be recovered for that one. I know you guys won't have Axel for World Cup. I think he's playing with the Tauntauns, and then, but you're getting Billy back. So, overall, hopefully, with all of those roster changes, you're still able to come out swinging just like you did at this one.
Yeah, I think having Billy back is going to be great. Aside from being an aggressive snake player, Billy's also, a great communicator out there. He really bridges the gap between, these front guys and the back guys as far as the communication goes. So I think that's going to be a huge help for us. Definitely will be missing Axel. He's the best, man. I love having him on the team. But I do also love seeing him come over with the French guys and getting a chance to see them do their thing in the States. So happy for him. Definitely sucks not having him, but looking forward to seeing him on Sunday, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be very unlucky for whoever draws the Tauntauns into their bracket.
Those guys are fired up. Got a chance to watch Hugo play, a young French stunner out there, and I was really impressed with him. We got to meet him and hang out with him a little bit, so I'm excited to see him play a World Cup.
Yeah, for sure. Not to mention all the guys like I think the other European team is the Lucky 15s coming over, and they have been doing really well. Like, we'll see. I think that the European teams getting slotted in as the tier 5 team in those prelim brackets is a little bit unlucky for anybody who doesn't draw NYX, because I think they're the only American team that's in the 5 pool.
Yeah, my boys on NYX, they're going through it right now. Hopefully they can figure it out and pull something off at World Cup here. But yeah, they're definitely going through it for sure.
Yep. It's an uphill battle, but I mean, it's not over yet for them. It's not like the Latin Saints last year where they needed like a 6th place to stave off relegation.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, this event, they look pretty good. I think they're on an uptick, and hopefully they can pull something off.
For sure. So let's go ahead and back up and talk about kind of your origins. So for this one's brought to us by XTPL Event. So for those listening that maybe don't know about you, how long have you been involved in tournament paintball?
Yeah, I got involved in tournament paintball maybe like 2014, 2015. It's probably like my freshman year of high school. I had been playing, just in the woods, messing around and stuff like that. Didn't really know. I had seen speedball on YouTube and stuff like that, but I wasn't really into it. And then basically, ran into a field up in like my area, Westchester County, New York, called Crazy Paint Paintball, and played tournament paintball like on an airball field for the first time ever. And once I did that, I never went back. I was like, this is the best. I started there, started playing around like D5 with a local team, kind of messing around, like 15, 16 years old. Won a couple local 5-man tournaments, nothing crazy. Then I went up to BKI, Boston Paintball Combine at the indoor. That's not open anymore, unfortunately. But we went up there. I met Billy, J-Rab, Greenspan, Sloviak, all those guys. And they did like a Beast of the East 1-on-1 tournament. And I played in that, and I was like undefeated to the finals, and then I choked it in the finals. Classic. But I don't know. They saw something in me. I met Billy there. He kind of, got to know me a little bit there, and he hooked me up with a guy named Dean Carlton out of Massachusetts, and he's the owner of Preferred Mob. They're playing in semi-pro currently. Back then, I think he was in Division 2. So Billy, kind of put a good word in for me with Dino, got me on Preferred Mob. The following year, I went to the Combine again, and we played like, what do you call it? I don't even know. It was like a 5-man tournament in the indoor, and I played with Jameson Stanton, who plays for the Russians now, a couple other like local Northeast guys, like throw together team. And I played Preferred Mob in this 5-man tournament a year later, after Billy had kind of like gotten my name out there to Dino and stuff like that. So I played them. We ended up beating them. It was like best 2 out of 3 or something like that. We were like a young guns team. So we ended up beating them. And then afterwards, Dino was like, hey, you played pretty good. Like, do you want to come play for us? And I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome, but I'm from New York and you guys are from Massachusetts. I don't think it's going to work out. I was like 16. I was like, I don't even have a driver's license yet. So he was like, yeah, you can come and play for us whenever you want. So I said, all right, let me think about it. I went back home and, put some thought into it. And then I ended up like taking the Amtrak for like a year or so up to Boston Paintball and playing with those guys. And eventually got my license and started driving like 3.5 hours, one way. to go play paintball for like a day or like 2 days up at Boston Paintball and just kind of grind a little bit. That was like my first full ride. I didn't have anything to pay for. I just kind of was hopping on with them and getting to play paintball for free for the first time, which was, a great opportunity for me. And I think that really excelled my career because I was in an area of paintball that was not very fertile with high level tournament players. So once I went up to Boston, I got involved with, Matt Derula, the 187 guys back then, with Billy, all those other dudes, and just like a higher level, higher thinking of paintball. So I definitely learned a lot and was able to excel with Dino. I played with them for about 4 years or so, and took them from D2 to semi-pro. We won one event in D2 and got a third place in D2, I believe. And then we went up to semi-pro, and I had a pretty tough year in semi-pro with P-Mob. I think we ended in Philly. The fourth event that year was Philly. We went like 0-4. And I was like in college at this point and just like working at Starbucks. And then Bo Milo gave me a call and was like, hey, like, what do you think about coming to play for us on NYX? And I was just like, yeah, sure, I would love to. That sounds awesome. And he's like, yeah, we'll pick you up for World Cup. We're not going to give you any spins, but if you want to come jump on, just kind of see how it works out. And then maybe next year we can talk about, getting some playing time. So that was like 2018, I believe, 2019, something like that. When I first got into the pro division, I was like 19, just turned 19. Started to jump on with them and kind of get some spins and stuff. This is when like Scotty Graham was on the team and like Robbie Altamore and all those guys, that era of NYX. Yeah, so that was like my first initial steps, was just meeting Billy and getting my name out there. And ever since then, he's kind of kept tabs on me and checked in with me at the end of the year and stuff, seeing how I'm doing, if I'm still playing, who I'm playing with, stuff like that. And, as the years went on, I was playing with NYX. COVID year happened. I think that year I was really becoming a starter on NYX. I was starting to get into my own as a player. If you go back and watch that event, I was, starting to make an impact on the field a little bit more. And then unfortunately, everybody knows what happened with the COVID year. Everything kind of got shut down. But that year, Harris and I were traveling all around the country, going to these invitationals and stuff like that. Because I was really I felt like I was in peak performance at that period of time. So I didn't want to stop playing. So Harris and I would travel to all the invitationals. I remember we would go to Ryan Buckley's field in up northern Connecticut. He had a private turf field in his backyard during COVID time, and we would go meet up there, like me, Harrison Fry, Harris, Pat Kraft, Josh, just would drive up there on a Tuesday afternoon because it was COVID and nothing was happening, and we would just go drill and do at this random backyard field. It was really cool. And then, I kind of we did that year. We just kind of got through all the invitationals and all that other crap. And then 21, I injured my shoulder. I dislocated my shoulder and tore a ligament. So I was out for that entire year following up. I tried to come back near the end, to hop in at World Cup. I played that event and then just was not ready. My shoulder was not fully intact yet. But yeah, basically that's it. And then kind of got back in with NYX, played another full year in 23, almost a full year in 23, played 3 events, and then ran into some work trouble. Kind of took a break for the last 2 events of 23. And just honestly didn't even know if I was going to play paintball again in 24. I was kind of just on the fence. I didn't really know where I was going to end up, whether it be with NYX or with nobody, and just kind of taking a step back from the game. And then off-season came, wasn't really reaching out to anybody for a team, wasn't really looking to even play paintball. And then Billy hit me up and said, hey, I was thinking about it. We got an opening on the team. I think now might be the right time for you to come out if you're interested for a tryout. And I put some good thought into it. Just thought about my whole life situation and saw, wanted to see if it's something I could really do. Gave Bo a call and just said, hey, I got this opportunity. I think I want to take it. And luckily I went out there, I balled out, and everything worked out, and now we're getting some playing time. So
absolutely. I mean, when a team like X Factor calls, that's an opportunity that you just have to take, right? You only get that call once.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, anyone that knows me, they know that like my whole situation with paintball has not been the easiest. I love paintball and I want to do this, but there's always been life issues, injury issues, and stuff like that. That's kind of gotten in the way for me. Um, but I was just fortunate that Billy kind of still kept me in his thoughts, and gave me an opportunity, knowing that I was questionable with injury and with my life situation and stuff like that. He kind of stuck his neck out for me, and I appreciate him for thinking of me and giving me the opportunity. And I'm just glad it's working out, and I'm glad I'm able to get out in the field and do my thing.
Yeah, for sure. And we're glad that you're doing it in an X Factor jersey, especially with how you played this past weekend.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate. I got to say, since I've been down in Texas, the Southern hospitality has been great. So appreciate all you guys.
Yeah, for sure. So many people like hearing the story. They probably don't realize just how recently it was that you started playing tournaments. And this one's brought to us by QBR Official. Use code PITS10 on their website for 10% off and free shipping. So like your first event was in 2016. That wasn't all that long ago. And you, at your first event, you got a gold medal. You're out of 8 events played in D5 and D4. In your very first year of playing paintball, you had 3 golds and 2 silvers, which like I don't know anybody else that can say they got off to as hot a start as that in their career. So what do you think was it that helped you immediately find that success in the game?
Yeah, that's a good question. Big thing for me that I think really helped me get my mindset right into training the right things and thinking about the game in the right way early on was when I started playing paintball with those local teams and stuff like that. I was also working at a paintball field because that was the only way I could afford paint. Was like I would show up to this field called Crazy Paint Paintball in Westchester County, New York. And basically, he had a field that only ran on Sundays, and every morning he set the field up, and every afternoon he took the field down because he like rented the land that he was on. So basically, I would show up there like super, super early in the morning, help him drag all the bunkers out, stake them down, set up the layout, whatever. And then he'd be like, okay, cool. Like, I'll give you like a case of paint, 2 cases of paint, and then you can play paintball all day. And then when you're done, you help me break down, and then we're good. That's how I met. The owner's name was Anthony. That's how I met him as a young man. He just kind of like saw me playing. He saw how hungry I was to get better. So he just took a liking to me early on and was just like, hey, you're a small, fast kid. Let's get you in the snake. So he just taught me from an early age how to play an old school, hard-nosed style of paintball that a lot of kids, I think, miss out on today. So I was fortunate to get started off on the right foot of, just how to get in the snake, go down and shoot people in the back, bunker people, all that kind of stuff. So I got to get a good relationship with Anthony and a lot of the players there. Eventually, as I got a little bit older and started playing a little bit more, he was like, hey, do you want to come work in the store? You can pick up some more hours, make a little bit more money during the week after school and stuff like that. And then, come help me run the field on Sundays. I was like, yeah, that'd be great. So now at this point, my life is like completely enwrapped in paintball. I'm going to school all day at school. I'm on Facebook Marketplace selling Sandana headbands and like flipping gear and bullshit like that. You know what I mean? And then as soon as I'm done with school, I get in my car or I hop in my buddy's car and get a ride and go to the paintball store. And I'm working till, 7:00 at night. And half the time that I'm working, it would be slow. And I'm just watching paintball videos all day, watching serial killers, watching Push, watching all the old videos, watching, games of Dynasty and stuff like that and seeing these guys go through it. And then, on the weekends and stuff like that, I'm just out there playing paintball, trying to emulate what these guys are doing out there. Another cool thing that we had, too, is at the paintball store itself. So the field was like down the road away from the store, and the store was like, 3-4 miles away up the road. But at the store, he had a little parking lot. I don't even know what you call it. It was like a gravel like alleyway, like really, really small alleyway like this. And he had like plastic bunkers and like wooden boxes set up in there. And it was literally just big enough for you to do snap shooting drills and stuff like that. So when I was like 15 or 16, like a little kid, this is before I even did the combine or anything like that, Anthony would just take us out there with like my buddy Nick, who's like still one of my good friends who I kind of started with. He played on PMOB with me and stuff like that too. But he and I worked at the store every day. We played paintball every day together. We would go to Boston and travel together. So like the two of us were just like best friends, just like enwrapped in paintball, like just everything we did. So when we had downtime, Ant would be like, let's go back to the backfield and we'll do some drills and stuff. But these drills weren't like shooting a pie plate or whatever. It would be like, okay, we're gonna gun battle like this close, like just bloody knuckles. We're gonna fuck each other up, and then jousting. Like we're gonna start you in this corner of the alley. He's gonna go in this corner of the alley. You're gonna run down, shoot each other. When you pass each other, turn around and keep shooting him. Like, and really, what he was doing was just taking like two young kids that were talented and had a little bit of raw talent, and just saying like, I'm gonna make you not scared of getting shot. Because if you're gonna be a one, you need to be in the shit, getting shot at, bunkering guys. So he's like, I'm just gonna remove the fear from you. And like that was a big thing for me, was like once I realized getting shot doesn't hurt, it's, you know, just get in there, hit your shot on the run, all that other stuff. And I realized how important those little details were. That really helped me propel to the next level of like, okay, being a hardcore one, bunkering guys, going down the field and trying to shoot guys in the back, like that's all I need to focus on. All this other stuff is not for me. Like my one lane right now is just to be a one. That's it. So I put all my focus into developing, you know, close range gunfighting skills, bunkering, running and shooting, you know, diving, stuff like that. And it was just doing little bullshit drills at the back alley and stuff like that. Like that was basically it. And we learned a ton about paintball from there. And that was before you even get into the X's and O's and how to play the flow of like a layout and stuff like that. That really came a lot later. Once I went up to, you know, Boston and started playing with all those guys, that's where I really learned, you know, from guys like Adam Rand, from, you know, the Bay State Bandits guys, Kyle Nicolau, Kyle Correa, Matt Kobashin, those kind of guys that had been playing semi-pro and stuff like that, that eventually came over to PMOB. They really taught me how to play a slower, more mental, more methodical style of paintball that I wasn't getting from Anthony playing an old school style of just hard nose, run it down your throat, you know, paintball and stuff like that. So it really just came down to me being one, really fortunate with the guys that I met, you know, Anthony, Billy, Dino, just putting me on a path and putting me in the direction of, you know, how to learn and stuff like that. And then for me, then it just became easy. All I had to do was show up. You know what I mean? And then, you know, just being around all these guys with so much experience and just trying to emulate what they're doing, you know, as much as I possibly could. It just, it fast tracked me. It really did fast track me to another level. And I kind of feel like that on X Factor now too, right? Like I'm surrounded by a bunch of guys that have been there, done that for a long time. Some of these guys have been playing for 15, 20 years. They've won a lot of tournaments. They've won series. They've, you know, played in Europe. They've done it all basically. Mm-hmm. So now I get to sit in a room with these guys or play on a field with these guys that know how to win. Like, you know, I've learned a little bit about how to play paintball. Now I can learn how to win from these guys. So I'm really fortunate to have had, you know, the journey I've had so far, and then to be put in a position like this. It just makes it easy to be a sponge and easy to just pick up the next thing, you know?
Yeah. I love how you put it with like you were basically on the fast track to going pro with that upbringing that you had of,
yeah, just,
hey, we're going to go into an alley every day and you're just going to shoot at each other. Yeah. Like that is definitely not the easy way to do it. But that was actually going to be one of my next questions. So for the divisional guys out there that are listening, and this one's brought to us by Mariachi Aguilas de Oro. In your opinion, what do you think those drills or like specific skills that these divisional players should be prioritizing in order to maximize their trajectory?
I think like if as a young guy, like I say this, kids that I work with up at Hornets Nest and stuff, like local fields over here, like some of these kids that are coming into it now, I'll like go out to the field with them and be like, hey, like what spot do you want to play in? And they'll say like, oh, I want to be in the back center. I want to be in the Dorito can. I want to be over here. If you're a young, small, fast guy, you need to be a one, right? Like there is no shortage of 2s and 3s in paintball, tournament paintball. There's plenty of guys that want to be in the back, that want to be playing this 2 and 3 spot. You know, there's always going to be a shortage of ones. If you want to play at a higher level or go to the next level or, you know, be more impactful on the field for your team and stuff like that, the place where you'll have the most opportunity is as a one. If I had said, you know, the snake kind of sucks, I don't want to be running around and crawling and doing all that shit. It's a lot of hard work. I breathe heavy and stuff. You know, I don't want to do that. the amount of opportunities and the amount of doors that would have been open to me would be a fraction, right? It's like, and I feel for a lot of these guys in the pro division that are moving teams as a 2 and a 3 and stuff like that, because there really just isn't a lot of space on these teams for them. But there's never going to be a shortage of openings for ones. So if I could say one thing to a person that's trying to get to the next level or trying to be more impactful, is focus on the skills that ones have. Focus on, figuring out how to get down the field to the key spots alive, get your kills, call out, like these little things and stuff like that. Don't focus on being the J-Rab right away. Don't focus on being the Meter Ninos right away. Be the Mouse, be the Billy, be the Axel, stuff like that, right? Like, there's going to be a lot more doors available to you because there's just not everybody can play the one, right? And it's like everybody wants to do something else because this is a hard and shitty job. And yeah, you get a lot of kills and you look cool and stuff like that, but it's tough. You know what I mean? It's physically tough. It's mentally tough. So I would just say put your focus into being a one. That's what I tell all these young kids. You have youth on your side. You know what I mean? You have, the athleticism for it. Take the advantage of the skills that you have now and put your focus into training how to be an attacker.
For sure. I mean, there's the kids out there that first you just got to get that fear out of you. And the best way to do that is by playing the one.
I mean, yeah, if you want to go out and joust and fuck your buddies up and never be scared of getting shot by a paintball ever again, by all means, that's how I did it, but I won't recommend that to everybody. But yeah.
Yeah. And, I mean, like for your trajectory, I mean, look at it. Your first event in D5 between then and your first event with New York Extreme was 3.5 years. That is one of the fastest trajectories I've ever heard of as far as like starting from scratch and going all the way up to the pros. I think the other guy that might be like close to your trajectory is maybe Ryan Hall, but like,
really?
Yeah, 3.5 years is a very quick period of time to go from D5 to pro, but also like winning at every level, which is another like very important detail there. It's not like you just, hey, I got picked up by a pro team, even though my points are D5 or D4. Like, no, you did it by winning at every level. And I think that's a very important thing to include. So this one's brought to us by BEMRAPS. Like, you won in Division 3 with Preferred Mob and in D2 the following year. So lots of other top level guys, they stress the importance of winning at every level so that you kind of learn the lessons of every division. How important was it for you on your climb up?
I think it's really important. One thing that I get worried about seeing like younger talent guys, at least in my area and stuff like that. Like, there's one kid I can think of in particular. This kid Ryan Cotter, he goes to a field by me that we play with a lot. Super talented kid, very receptive to coaching and stuff like that. He's the type of guy that he just wants to learn. He's only really been playing for less than a year, but the amount of talent he has right now is incredible. And I think the last thing you want to do with somebody like that, a young guy or, anybody that's kind of in a position where they have potential to do a little bit more with the game, the last thing you want to do is go a little bit too hard too soon. You know what I mean? Like, you don't, just because you have the skills, you might potentially be able to play at, a D3 level or a D2 level. You don't necessarily want to do that right away because you can get burned out if you're not winning a lot or you're not really seeing any kind of progression with the team that you're on and things like that. It's a quick way to burn yourself out and kind of stifle your growth. So yeah, I think there is value in winning in the divisions and working your way up and stuff like that. But as you're doing that, I think it's important to surround yourself with people that are better than you. Surround yourself with guys that have more experience and stuff like that. Even if you're not necessarily playing on the same team with them, just going out there and being around them, listening to the way that they talk, the way that they shoot lanes, the way that they move, the way that, little stuff like that. I think that goes a long way. And just not trying to rush anything and just really focusing on yourself. That's all you can really do. Is like, that's the only way you can affect the game, right? Is increasing your skills, increasing your mentality and stuff like that. And, the opportunities will come to you, as they go, and not trying to just rush it and burn yourself out. I think that's a good way to go about it.
For sure. I mean, every event you always see like a team signed up for semi-pro and you look at their roster and they're all ranked D4. And then, like, surprise, surprise, they don't do very well most of the time.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
and for those guys, like if you want to play at the semi-pro level, like sure, all it takes is like changing your drop-down box which division you sign up for in PB leagues, and that's technically all it takes. But for you to actually belong in that division, there are a lot of lessons to learn at every level, and there's nothing wrong with taking a year per division or even multiple years per division if that's what it takes for you to like truly get those. Because if you don't and you end up playing up ahead of time, and let's say you're just middle of the pack, like you're going 1-3, 2-2, not making any Sundays, or maybe you make a Sunday but you always lose in the first round, you can't go back down afterwards. That's not how PB
Right.
leagues works. So
Yeah.
like for
Yeah. I mean, you end up screwing yourself, and then you got nowhere to play, and then paintball becomes not fun, and it's hard to be good at something when you're not having fun, right? It's like,
Mhm. And I guess the other thing is like, hey, even if your points say that you're D2, guys that have been around long enough will know like, does this guy actually belong in D2 or does he just sign up for the D2 events? And like, what would you rather be? Would you rather have like the orange belt on your PB Leagues profile, or would you rather have those medals hanging up on your wall?
I think medals any day of the week, for sure. You know, that's my opinion, though. Some people might think otherwise. Some people like the title.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
So, kind of throughout your climb up, granted, it hasn't been that long of a career compared to like some of the other guys, especially on X Factor, that have been doing it for a long time. But this one's brought to us by Podrunners Union. So, what are some things that you've noticed that have changed in the tournament scene, either for better or for worse, over your career?
That's a good question. I'm like a Neo NXL kid,
Hmm.
so like I don't really know a whole ton. Like I get a lot of good juice from these X Factor guys that have been kind of playing since like the peak of paintball. You know what I mean? When paintball was really really cool. So yeah, that's a good question. I don't really know. I think from like when I started playing in the NXL, it just seems a little bit more organized. They kind of got the whole setup a little bit more down, but you know, there's the same kind of pitfalls you run into with weather and little stuff like that. It's hard for me to say. I've really only played in one era of it, so I don't know. I don't really know how to answer that. But my experience so far with the NXL has been good, and hopefully they can come up with some new stuff and really make some good changes and propel us into whatever we're all hoping it will be.
Yeah, it's interesting talking to guys from like the current iteration of the NXL who went pro
Hmm.
after 2015 compared to guys of the earlier generations, like like Marcelo and Tyler Harmon's generation, where they went pro in like maybe the mid 2010, like mid 2000s or so. And
Hmm.
just hearing the big difference, like you hear like the old school guys like Mark Johnson, Colt Roberts, the first thing that they always say is like, man, it was way more violent back in the day.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
but now it's like, yeah, the things that have changed since the NXL has come around, like I don't know, national tournaments have gotten a little bit bigger the last 2 years, but all in all, I think it's actually been fairly stable over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, we hear every couple years we have like the biggest World Cup turnout ever and stuff like that, which is great. You know, having numbers and things like that is always good for the league. And I like seeing that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Is there anything like you would specifically change about the current setup or the way that we play, or something like that?
I don't know, like so when I started playing tournaments was 2015, so I started
Mm,
actually the year before you started, and I don't know, people always bring up like, oh, the fire rate used to be this. Like for me, I was at the tail end of 12-2. I was right at the start of the wall bunker. I think the bunker set right
mm,
now is great. I think the fire rate's good. I think the rule set's all good. I don't know. Now, like it seems like the big change is more like in the structure of regional tournaments compared to like national and local scenes. But I don't know. I think to like your point, you said that the other guys on your team like were playing back when paintball was really cool. I think right now
mm.
is paintball is the best that it's ever been. Granted, I don't have that earlier experience, but I think we're in a golden age right now.
Yeah, I could agree with you on that for sure. But I think there is some kind of nostalgia to it. Like I wasn't even there, and I look back and I watch those videos. I go, damn, that looks really really cool. Like I wish I was experiencing that. version of paintball for sure. I think right now we're in a position where we're on a steady trajectory, and that is good for growth. I think the older style paintball, from what I hear, this is all hearsay and stuff, but it was a little too hard, too fast. It was really cool. They had a lot of cool ideas and cool stuff happening, and outside sponsors and things like that. But it was a little too much too soon, and it kind of fizzled out. So I think where we're at right now is great. I think we're on a good trajectory moving forward, and yeah, I'm excited to see what it turns into in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I think we all are looking forward to that, especially with the, kind of seeing the I guess consequences of the whole ESPN thing that happened earlier this year.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear about that. I mean, I know we put a little bit of money out on the table for those guys to come in and kind of take a look at what we're doing. They aired it a couple times on ESPN and hopefully got some good numbers. But yeah, it's hard to say. You don't really know exactly how it turned out, or if anybody's looking to pick it up or do something else with it. You hear rumors about guys from the UFC looking to make like a Ultimate Fighter type deal, TV show, documentary, whatever you want to call it. But again, it's all just kind of up in the air, and nobody really knows what's going on until something happens. So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. So this next question is brought to us by Paintball Kumite, which is your roommate Colt Roberts, his training
Let's
regiment.
go, baby.
So, who were some of the individuals that helped you out on your climb to the top? I know you shouted out a few of them, but anybody else that you want to mention?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many guys that have helped me develop as a player, as a person along the way. A lot of them know who they are, and I'm sure I'll forget a couple, but big main ones got to be Anthony Galasso from Crazy Paint Paintball. He was like the guy who really got me hooked on paintball and gave me an opportunity just to get my foot in the door. Anthony for sure. Dean Carlton from PMob. He again gave me my first full ride. Really put me on a path to succeed, and not only that, but just meet other people that are playing at a higher level. Goes without saying, Billy for sure. I mean, I wouldn't be anywhere without Billy. Even before X Factor, I used to go out to like Wednesday nights at Matt's Outback and train with him and just watch him play and try and emulate the his style of play and stuff like that. So goes without saying, Billy was a huge influence on my paintball journey and stuff like that. Bo Milo, without a question, another big name in there. Took really good care of me on NYX. Still to this day, asks me how I'm doing and stuff like that, and checks in. And he was another big reason why I'm even in the conversation, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of other guys along the way. Adam ran Truck Stop, one of my homies from PMob and stuff like that. He helped me a ton as a young man trying to just figure this whole thing out and kind of get in the right mindset. I'm sure I'm forgetting a ton of people, and you know who you are if you were on the path there. So I appreciate all the help along the way, whoever you guys are out there. But yeah, that's just to name a few.
For sure, I'm sure they're all proud to have been involved in your career, in your trajectory. So, kind of looking after you made pro. So this one's brought to us by Jared Sherman at TexanHemp.com, player for Austin Notorious. So you played with NYX starting in 2019 until you got picked up this past year, or this past offseason, by X Factor. So how was your time on NYX?
I love my time on NYX. I love all those guys. Josh Taylor's like, he lives in my area. He's a good friend of mine and stuff like that. He was my travel buddy for years. So Josh and I are super close. I love Pat. I love Will. I loved Harris when he was on the team. I love Harris as a person, but I hate him as a teammate. All those guys, I love them, and I'm really sad to see their year going the way that it is going right now, unfortunately. But sometimes that's the way it goes. I was a little sad to part ways with them, honestly, but I don't know. I just wanted to go do my own thing and kind of just see how far I can take this whole thing and go from there. But yeah, I had a great experience with MYX. Good, bad, or indifferent. We always had fun. We always wanted to win. It was a pleasure to wear New York on my chest. Being a native New Yorker. It was a great. When I started playing, there was no New York pro teams at all. So like the best thing that I looked up to as far as New York teams was like the Brooklyn Bears, because in semi-pro in those years they were like dominating. So yeah, it was really a privilege to play on that team, and I had an absolutely great time, and I wish them all the best.
Yeah, I mean, looking now, I mean, I know the team name itself is based out of Jersey, but it looks like Leverage is in the driver's seat to become the next pro team, and they've got several players out of New York as well. So, like, how does that feel
Mhm.
seeing the region like start to really show up on the national stage?
Yeah, it feels great, man. I think the East Coast gets slept on a lot. We've always had a lot of really good players. It's just tough because we don't have as many big programs. We don't have as many fields as Texas and California and Florida really do. But one thing we've always had is just like I think we've always had quality over quantity. We've had a smaller group of guys and a smaller scene, but the guys that come out of the East Coast scene usually are pretty high level players and stuff like that. There's numerous pros that have come out of the East Coast and done well and had a lot of success. Something about it, like we always used to joke, like you know we have an edge because we have a shorter season than a lot of these guys. Like Florida guys, Texas guys, California guys, you're playing like majority of the whole year, you know what I mean, if you want to. Like we get like four months out of the year where it's just like you could fucking play if you're psychotic, but
Yeah.
like most people aren't, you know what I mean? So it's like whenever we would have that winter break or whatever, we would get out there sometimes if we were feeling it, whatever, if the weather was okay. But like for the most part, we're really not. But as soon as we come back, we're like hungry to like get back to work, get it going. You know what I mean? It's cold, it's windy, it's wet, it's icy. But like the first event of the year is coming up, and we got to get to work and go grind and stuff like that. So I think we've always had an edge just because of that. Just a little bit more hard nose over here, and we don't have as many opportunities. So when we get them, we want to take advantage of it. So
You saying that reminded you actually helped me remember what my train of thought was earlier, and that was the field situation in Texas. I mean, now that you're on a Texas team, you come down and you see like what we have to work with, and like in Texas, you've got some of the best, like two of the top five fields in the country. You've got Fit and X Factor there, but not to mention all of the other fields in the state. Like you're within an hour and a half drive usually from a an excellent field. Like even from where I live in Austin, I can drive 20 minutes north and go to Outlaw where Austin Notorious plays, or I can drive an hour south to X Factor. And it's not
mm.
that long of a drive for me to head to Fit. So like what are your thoughts on like what the Texas region as a whole has to work with in terms of like the quality of fields?
Yeah, the quality fields down in Texas are amazing. I went to Paintball Fit for the first time this year. They have a great facility there. It goes without saying, X Factor is a premier facility in the country. So the quality of fields are incredible. On the East Coast, we did have, I would say Matt's Outback is probably the closest to those fields down in Texas as far as quality and stuff like that. Tom does a really great job out there. He puts a lot of work in to make that field really good. I haven't been out there in a while, so I gotta get out there and go visit those guys. Um, but yeah, the other field in my area right now that's a newer field that's a little bit more up and coming is Hornets Nest Extreme Paintball in Ankrum, which is like upstate New York. That's another great facility. They've been putting a ton of work in the past year to kind of expand their operation and really make a players field. They have a rec scene there. They have hyperball, they have mounds, they have all this other stuff for the average weekend warriors and stuff like that. But Hornets Nest to me is another one of these fields like Matt's Outback and stuff like that. That really is a tournament players field. They have a brand new turf field. They're building a second one right next door to it. We have an indoor that Josh and I from NYX were running a Friday night fights training session at the indoor all winter long. So they have a really great operation up there, and yeah, if anybody's in the New York area, upstate New York, or down by me in like Westchester County and stuff like that, Hornets Nest Extreme Paintball in Ankrum, New York, is one of the premier spots in New York right now.
Sweet. Yeah, go check them out if you're in the area.
Definitely.
So this next question is brought to us by SAT 3v3, which Sasha Zucker's putting on a new 3v3 series, kind of bringing in like the new players. I believe their first event is going to be in November. So go check out the website and sign up at sat3pb.com. So throughout all of the moments in your career so far, what is your single favorite moment?
Single favorite moment in my career so far. I think it's got to be this event right now. I mean, this event for me was a coming out event. Like some people were saying, like it was an event for me to kind of show my stuff and prove to the people that were believing in me and sticking their necks out for me and vouching for me to prove them right. So I think this event for me, even though we lost, I learned a ton about what it takes to get that far in a tournament. I learned a ton about the kind of mindset you have to be in to step onto a field with guys at that level in that situation and come out on the other side with a win. So yeah, this has got to be the most memorable event for me, and I think it will be for a long time because of the loss that we had, and how well I was feeling going into that finals match, and then to kind of lose in the way that we did. It's going to stick with me for a long time until I override it with a better memory of winning. But yeah, I think this has got to be the most memorable time in my career. I mean, on Sunday, I remember Billy had texted me saying, like, it's amazing watching you out there. It's like watching my kid out there. Like, it's just like somebody that I've kind of groomed to like be a high level player. And like he texted me saying, like, dude, I almost got like tears in my eyes watching you go out there. So it just felt really good. And like I got a lot of good messages from a lot of friends in the game and stuff like that. Just giving me props for how well I did and stuff. So I think this has got to be the best memory I've had in paintball so far. It's just finally, after years and years of working at it and trials and tribulations along the way, getting a chance to go do my thing and play. So yeah, I think this has got to be my best memory so far.
I totally understand why, but I mean, hopefully it's not going to be the best one of your whole career by the time you retire. Like, I know Ryan Brand is of the opinion that you have to make a finals before you can win an event. Like guys that haven't been there before usually aren't able to overcome like that extra little bit of struggle and hardship. Like, and I know for you, like this year was your first year, like being on the field for the anthem, and now you've had two of those. So like, how do you feel now that you like have the experience of being on that stage?
It feels good, man. It feels good. It's like I was listening to I'm a Formula One guy, so I was listening to a Formula One podcast recently, and they were talking about this younger guy. He's like working his way out of being a rookie right now, but his name's Oscar Piastri. He's like a stud driver. And the thing about Oscar, compared to a lot of other rookies, is he just doesn't have nerves. Like when he goes into these races and stuff like that, he's so cool, calm, collected, just locked in, focused. Like he just knows what needs to be done and he just does it. And he tries to not let all these other outside influences or ego or the PR meetings or the podcast that he's on affect his mindset. And he really focuses on just winning in the little moments. Like he recently just won a race this past weekend that he wasn't, touted to win. He had to make a late breaking aggressive move on cold tires, making a move that he probably wasn't going to be successful on. It was basically 50-50 whether or not he was going to make it, but he just knew this is my only chance and I have to execute in this moment. And he's not letting these outside things get in his head to deter him from just executing in the moment. So like I'm trying to kind of emulate what his mindset is and the way that he carries himself in, the pinnacle of motorsport and bring that into, my mindset in paintball and stuff like that. And just not letting the moment be bigger than you. You know what I mean? It's just a game. We're just out there playing paintball. I go to practice. I do the same thing. I make big moves in practice. I do all this other stuff. The only difference is now there's a clock and there's a score and there's people watching. You know what I mean? Just not letting any of that outside stuff get to you and just knowing like you have to take a chance. You have to take a risk. You have to do something to exert your will on the other team to come out with a win. Otherwise, you're playing not to lose, which is kind of how X Factor has been doing this whole year, is just playing not to lose. So my whole mindset is just do what it takes to win. Take the chance, take the 50-50 risk, put yourself in a position to do something special while you're out there.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds great on paper, but for anybody who has been in the game long enough, there's a lot of emotion involved. There's a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and there's a lot of switching back and forth between those, sometimes in an instant. So that like doing that is definitely easier said than done. But like I can't imagine the highs that you were riding heading into the finals after with the Red Legion, who has been just absolutely dominant this year, had by far their worst loss of the season because of you guys. So like looking ahead to the Champions Cup bye that X Factor has earned this year, like how are things now on the team?
I think we're feeling really good. A disappointing loss for sure. Everybody, can see that. But I'm proud of the way that we made a plan and we stuck to it. We said we were going to play a more aggressive style of paintball. We said we were going to play more points, and we did. And we got to, realize the fruits of our labor with that kind of, mindset. And I'm just proud of where we're at right now. I'm proud of Ryan Brand for, taking the coaching in the direction that he's taking it right now. I'm really excited to see, where he goes from here. I think he's growing as a coach. He's been doing this for a long time, but I think he's growing as a coach and really bringing our team to the next level. So I'm just really excited to see how we turn up at Cup and, what we're going to be able to do there. I really think with the group of guys that we have right now, the sky could really be the limit. And this is only the beginning. So.
Yeah, I think for your roster, and this one's brought to us by 71 Designs, like you being the youngest by far on the team, that I think the next closest player is Meter, who's at least 5 years older than you. But you're with some legendary names on the team, not to mention Alex Martinez himself, who's been in this game for such a long time. Like it really speaks to the level of maturity and experience that everybody on the team has. So like how is that for you, being surrounded by all of these veterans and all-stars, and just like being the new guy, being able to like have the opportunity to soak it all in?
It's great, man. I mean, one thing I will say is like it makes playing paintball really easy. Like it makes being a one really easy when you have Colt Roberts behind you and you have Meter behind you. Like it just makes it like I don't have to worry about anything. I just have to go forward and attack and, cause a little chaos, take some bodies with me, and then these guys are going to go and clean it up and win. It gives me a lot of confidence in what I'm doing. Even when I make a mistake, I can come off and these guys are going to give me the right direction to move towards, and just help me progress my game as an individual to help the whole team. So, being in a room with this much, I think they were saying like they have like collectively like 100 something years of, paintball knowledge all together. So it's like, it's great. It's perfect for me. It's just a great opportunity to learn and, again, fast tracking my career. Like I'm just in a very privileged position to be able to learn this much this quickly. So it's just up to me to take advantage of it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, looking at the names on your team, I think most of them have gold medals. Like you've got Cody Bayless, you've got Billy, Matt Jackson is a Golden Barrel Award winner. I'm pretty sure Colt has won an MVP at some point in his career. You've got Meter, Al. I think TJ, I'm not sure if TJ has won an event yet, but obviously like he's been to so many finals in his career, with X Factor and with AC Dallas. Like he's just, everybody knows how much of a beast he is. And like just that squad. Oh, and then not to mention, obviously Axel got in, the best player in Europe coming to play for you guys this year. Like that squad is dangerous. So like looking ahead to the World Cup, and this one's brought to us by Hydra. It's going to be you guys, Red Legion, and Heat that get the Champions Cup buys. So, like, even though, unfortunately, with the way the math works out, Red Legion has already locked up the series, ultimately that doesn't matter all that much because it's all about, like, the individual events and the gold medals. And I don't know how much of a factor or a motivating factor it is for the pros, but, the gigantic cash prize, I think it's $40,000 for first place in the pro division at World Cup. So Like, how are you going to prepare for World Cup, and how is X Factor going to prepare?
I think just sticking to what worked for us at this previous event, staying with that aggressive mindset, wanting to play more points with these guys. I think that's going to be the first step, is just remembering what we did well at this one, and sticking to it, and learning how to progress in what we're working on right now. As far as like individual preparation, I'll be up at Hornets Nest and stuff like that. Billy and I are planning on linking up pretty soon and doing some drills out here on the East Coast, and just kind of staying behind the gun, and keeping the sword sharp and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's really, when you're at this level, everybody can, they have the gun skills, they can shoot off the break, they can snap shoot, all that kind of stuff. It's just about being in the right headspace and working with the team, and executing in the big moments. And that's kind of just what we need to focus on, is just doing the right thing when we need to, and sticking to our game plan, and following through with it, and believing, and really just believing that we're going to go out there and we're going to win. And I seriously do think the trajectory that we're on right now, we will be a force at World Cup for sure.
For sure. Do you know who you have lined up for the practice weekends beforehand yet?
I'm not sure. Somebody knows, but not me.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right. So do you know, are you going to be coming down for just the layout weekend, or are you going to be doing your usual off weekend as well, or?
Yeah, we'll be doing the same spread, pre-layout release weekend. We'll get a little warm up in. I'll come back home, and then layout drops. We'll be back down there again, and then off to World Cup, baby. So
All right.
same old thing. Hope looking to wrap up the year strong, and have another good performance for the guys, and walk away with a gold medal and second place in the series.
Yeah, for sure. I think I heard, and I'm obviously not confirmed, but I think I heard it's going to be you guys, Dynasty and Impact, all at X Factor. Which, if that's the case, that's a banger of a practice. Definitely, whoever's in the area needs to go and watch that, because there's going to be some really good paintball being played over the 3 days.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds great to me. Looking forward to it.
Sure. All right. So, everybody that's here listening live, first, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions for Tim, go ahead, get them in the chat. We're getting towards the end of our episode. So, Tim, this question is one that I ask everybody that comes on the show. Helps keep track of anybody that's either up and coming, or maybe flying under the radar, or otherwise underappreciated. So this one's brought to us by Get That Shot. Message him on Facebook or Instagram if you're needing media coverage at the upcoming USXBL finale at Fit. He does photos, reels, and he also does drone footage now. So if you're needing any of those, hit him up. Tim, is there anybody in paintball? It could be a player, a brand, a project, a community member, anybody that you think deserves more recognition for what they're doing.
Can I do a twofer? Can I
Absolutely.
list two? It's got to be Project Paintball, and it's got to be Astra Research. So Project Paintball, everybody knows, is Ryan Brand's and Archie's thing. I got to see a lot more of those guys. I'm out here on the East Coast. I go to the field. I got some project stuff. A lot of these kids are going, "What is all that stuff?" Same thing with Astra. They're going, "What is this Astra stuff?" And I go, "This is some of the best up and coming gear that we have in paintball. They're making a lot of cool stuff. Project right there."
Mm-hmm.
Both guys, Astra and Project, are making some really cool stuff, and they got some really cool stuff coming out in the future as well. So if I could give a shout out to anybody, it'd be those guys. I think they're really, innovating what is possible in paintball, soft goods and things like that, and markers and all kinds of things. So I'm looking forward to see what Ryan and Archie and what Meter has to come in the future, and excited to get to rock some new stuff, and hopefully get some more guys on the East Coast rocking it too. Enemy of the State is taking over here.
Yeah, Enemy of the State has definitely been on the rise. I've seen it kind of trickle its way into some of the Texas teams, but it's been fun to work for Project this year, and I think that for us, like I was able to get the Project logo on on my divisional teams stuff. It's been cool to rock. It's been fun to represent. But yeah, be on the lookout for the booth at World Cup. I know last year, I got to work the booth the whole time. This year, I'm going for a series title, so I'm not going to be working it as much. Mm-hmm. But yeah, be on the lookout for what we've got on the pipeline.
Hell yeah, for sure.
All right. So, Tim, I think that just about does it for our show. Thank you so much again for coming on. This final question is brought to us by Compete, which is Jell Stewart's brand. Message him on Facebook or Instagram. Mention In the Pits for 10% off. So, Tim, do you have any last shout outs or things you'd like to say before we sign off?
Yeah, I mean, just shout out to everybody that got me up to this point. Appreciate all you guys helping me along the way. I couldn't have done it without you guys. I'm hopefully going to bring a gold home soon and make everybody proud. Shout out to my family. I know some of them are watching. Shout out to my girlfriend Brielle. Yeah, and just keep playing paintball, keep showing up. It's going to work out for you eventually. That's all I got to say.
Love it. All right. I think that just about does it. So thank you, everybody here tuned in. Be sure to go follow Tim on Instagram at Tim Stelzl XF. So what other guests would you like to see on the show? Be sure to leave a comment down below. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button. The show goes live weekly here on youtube.com/@inthepitspaintballpodcast, and recordings are posted to YouTube, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify the next day. Give a shout out to my partner and sponsor to your subscribers on Patreon, FU Athletics, Get That Shot, Paintball Kumite, Compete, Bem Raps, Hydra, XTPL Events, Mariachi Aguilas de Oro, Pod Rudders Union, SAT 3v3, 71 Designs, TexanHemp.com, and QBRofficial.com. We will see you guys next week for episode 118. We're going to have a special guest, Victor Gamboa, if you know him from San Diego Dynasty, always helping them out, kind of doing things in the background. Big important figure for Dynasty. So it's going to be cool to get like a behind the scenes perspective on one of the best teams of all time. So we'll see you then. Tim, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Christian. I'll see you in a few.